What is your name, your discipline, and the name of the course you're studying? My name is Lisa Hocking. I'm doing the visual communication course, MA Visual Communication. I come from a graphic design background, kind of looking into interaction design, user experience design. I'm doing a lot of focus on design for disabilities, so that's kind of where my research is heading down that route. How did you decide which MA to study? I actually did my undergrad at PCA. While I was exploring the idea of design for disabilities in my final year, this kind of idea of continuing that research came into a lot of discussions and taking that idea further, and the visual communication course was kind of ideal for that, because it's not graphic design as just graphic design, but it kind of takes it a little bit further and it becomes more about communicating rather than just graphic design. So that's kind of why I decided to go down that route, but there was lots of discussions about which would be best. So there was it was between visual communication and disruptive design. Why did you choose to study at PCA for your MA? So I just mentioned that I studied at PCA for my undergrad, and I really kind of liked the dynamic of the kind of small classrooms, the kind of your tutors know your name, you get on well with your course mates, you're not just a number. And your kind of lecturers and tutors are really interested in your area of research, and they're really enthusiastic about helping you and kind of giving you guidance, and that sort of small, close-knit community feel that you don't really get at a lot of other universities, especially big universities. How much contact time do you have with staff? So at the moment, unfortunately because of the pandemic, everything's online. So we're timetabled in for I think 1 day a week on full time, but your lecturers and tutors I've found with PCA are quite good in that if you email them more times than not, they'll get back to you even without your kind of contact hours. So you can kind of email at any time and you'll hear back kind of straight away. How much time do you spend studying each week? So I spend about 3-4 days a week studying on the full time. But I am juggling kind of a part-time job and hopefully setting up a business and things like that on the side. So it can be quite intense on the full time. But I work kind of well when I have lots of work to do and like things to strive towards. And I'm really passionate about what I'm researching and studying. So about 3 to 4 days. What does a typical week on an MA at PCA look like? So at the moment, I'm in research stages. So it's a lot of researching, reading articles, reading books, emailing people, asking for interviews, sending out questionnaires, just a lot of talking to people at the moment. In terms of the actual college, usually you'd be on site a lot more so you can make use of the facilities and things. And this is not kind of possible at the moment because of the pandemic. But you do have that option available to you. What are the differences from studying BA to MA? An MA is a lot more independent, and you're kind of encouraged to do a lot of kind of working on your own. It's not necessarily a bad thing because you kind of have a lot of room to explore, and really you can do something, and if it doesn't work, you can still document that and talk about it with your tutors, but you're not kind of penalised for that. So it's a lot more independent, encouraged to kind of do your own thing and explore your own thing. As long as you can describe how that's informed kind of your decisions and your research, then there's not really a problem with that. What are your tips for making the most of your time studying on an MA? Be passionate about what you're researching because you're going to spend a lot of time researching it and talking to people. If you're doing it full time especially, it's going to become a big area of your life. So if you're not passionate about it and you don't have that kind of motivation to spend a lot of time talking about it, then it's going to be really difficult. Reach out to people, talk to your classmates, talk to your friends and family about your idea. Sometimes it's good to get some fresh perspectives from people who aren't necessarily experts or knowledgeable in your area because they kind of bring a fresh new perspective that you might not have considered. Just talk to people, communicate, talk to people in the industry, networking. Just, talk to as many people as you can and have that drive. Do you still feel part of the PCA community? I do, yeah. On my particular pathway, the visual communication or the design pathway, there's quite a few of us, and we haven't actually kind of all met in person really, but we have kind of like WhatsApp groups and group chats, and everyone's always willing to give advice. I mentioned earlier the lecturers and things, they're more than happy to answer emails outside of the kind of timetabled contact hours, and there's lots of kind of things available to you even in the pandemic. You've got the learning support, the library, the ERC. PCA are doing their best to kind of do workshops online because they can't happen in person. So even in the pandemic, the college is trying its best to kind of do what it can and still have that small scale feel and kind of keep in contact with students, make you feel like you're still getting somewhat of a good uni experience. What are your tips for staying motivated and managing your time? Again, the first thing would be make sure you really care about what you're doing, because you're going to struggle if you don't, because you have to spend so much time on it. But I found, for me, because I have really struggled with motivation over the pandemic, for me, I find if I just set a timer for 1 or 2 hours, put my phone kind of on do not disturb, take off all notifications, and just try and get kind of the tasks that you've been putting off, try and just get them done in that 1 or 2 hours. And then rather than spending all day kind of procrastinating and going on your phone and not really making much progress, if you just try and do it all in those 1 or 2 hours, then you've got the rest of the day to do other things that you may want to do more, or you're just not motivated to do the work, but you've still got work done in those 2 hours. So you kind of get more done in just 2 hours than you would just trying to force yourself to work all day, because you just won't be productive. Schedules kind of help. I have set aside a few days a week to do my uni work and a few days to do some other things that I have to do to work on. Creating kind of a routine or a schedule, especially in the mornings, actually. Have a good morning routine, or get into a good routine, because then you know you have to get up, you have to do work. Gives you a reason to kind of get out of bed. What career services did you access at the college and how did they help you? I used the careers and the library team quite a lot in my final year for my dissertation, and got quite a lot of feedback there. I also used the careers team towards the end of my 3rd year to kind of explore what my next options could be, or my next route, and whether or not that was education or a job or full-time employment or freelancing and those kind of things. And I sat down with one of the careers advisors, and we kind of explored a rough kind of action plan and looked at what was out there, and maybe things that were out there that I hadn't initially considered but I would still be able to apply for or give it a try. And there was definitely this kind of mentality of just apply. You know, the worst they can say is no. So there's no harm in applying for things that maybe you don't think you're qualified for, and if you don't try, like, you'll never know kind of thing. It's a bit cliche, but if you don't apply, you don't kind of put yourself out there, then the answer is going to be no anyway. So the worst that people can say to you is no, but at least you've tried.